Hi, this is a quick demo using the Ergo 360 original with the newborn baby insert. I'm just going to show you a couple of really quick ways that you can use this safely with a newborn baby. So the first thing to do is put on the carrier using the waistband. And because I'm using this with the newborn baby and I want the head to be positioned on the hard part of my chest, and closer to my face, so that's great for safety elements in terms of keeping the airways clear. I'm going to put the carrier slightly higher than I would for, say, a 6-month or year-old baby. So I'm going to put this just above my belly button and do up the waistband and the safety strap securely. Next, then, you're going to lay out your baby insert. I've put this on a table just so that you can see, but essentially put it on a surface where the baby can't roll off or out, like the floor or baby changing mat, and ready for baby. So we're going to place our newborn baby with their bottom snugly in the insert. And baby sat right in the middle, and they're sat on the insert as if it were a little seat. I'm then going to gather the baby so the hands are up by baby's face, which again just means that they're more comfortable. It's also great to have the baby's hands up underneath their chin whilst they're so tiny, because it helps keep the chin off their chest and keeps their airway clear. So I'm going to just gently encourage baby's hands up by their face, and then hold on to baby and the newborn insert against my chest. So there we go, baby. And then I'm going to just very gently hold baby in position right in the center of my chest and over the carrier. And then the bottom of the carrier, so the wedge part of the carrier, sits in the bucket part of the seat, and the baby is obviously sat on that bottom wedge of the newborn insert. So essentially what that does is it means if the baby was sat right in the bucket seat, then their knees would be wider apart because of the width of this seat, which wouldn't be holding the baby in the most natural position. A newborn baby in the natural position, which is what we want them to be held in, will have their knees closer together. So that's essentially what the wedge is doing. The wedge is also bumping the baby up so that their head comes above the top of the carrier and is safely, let's say, on the hard part of my chest, and is close enough so I can keep a good check on the baby. So once the baby is comfortably in the centre of the carrier, then put the carrier on as you normally would. So that means straps on like a backward rucksack, and then I'm going to lean back slightly, holding onto the carrier to do up the safety strap, still supporting the baby at all times. And then all I need to do is tighten up these straps. We want essentially your carrier to be snug but not tight. So you tighten these up. You can even help the process by placing your arm strap on your shoulder where you'd like it to be. That then means that the slack naturally falls down to the bottom, and it's easier then to tighten up. To tighten up on the original, you grab the excess of the strap and pull forward and slightly down, essentially in line with this part of the carrier. So now I'm happy that I've got that on snugly. I need to check that both of these are exactly the same length, which they are far from being. So I'm just going to slacken off and readjust so that there we go. That means that it's now centered. If it wasn't centered, no problem for the baby. It would just mean that I potentially might then get backache if I'm waiting for long periods of time. So next I'm going to, you'll notice here that I've actually got the cuff in the upward position here. It just gives additional head and neck support, but there's nothing stopping you, especially when your baby starts to strengthen their neck, in having that cuff down. Then it means, I guess, the baby can see out a little bit more. But while we've got a newborn, I just tend to like that cuff to be up because it gives them super support. So then all there is to do the safety checks for the baby, and the main safety checks for the baby are around airways. So I want the baby's chin to be off their chest and for their airways to be clear. And I don't know whether you can see in there, but that's absolutely fine. The nose isn't sort of snuffled into my chest. The baby's very close, so I can keep a super close eye on them as well. And the carrier's nice and straight and smooth down the baby's back. And I know that the baby has an optimum, or is holding a natural seat within the carrier with the knees not too far apart because of that wedge just supporting the baby. So the other thing that's worth sort of mentioning when carrying a newborn in this carrier with the insert is body temperature. Obviously there's quite a few layers around the baby's back, and my body heat is going to create a lot of warmth from them. So I don't tend to dress my babies in an awful lot else. I certainly wouldn't be using cardigans or jumpers while they're in the baby carrier with the newborn insert. If I'm inside, I will usually either have them in just a vest if it's summer, or just a baby grow. So if it's winter time, that's inside. It's only when then I'm outside I might then put on some extra layers for the baby, or use some form of a baby wearing coat or something like that. But just be aware that this obviously will act as at least 2 layers of clothing around the baby, let's say with your body heat as well. The hands tend to be kept quite warm because they're on my chest. The one area to watch out for though is the other extremities, which are their feet. So even though I might not have the baby dressed in an awful lot whilst they're in the carrier, let's say especially indoors, outdoors slightly different, depends on the temperature, I will be looking after these extremities, so socks, booties, whatever, just to make sure that their feet don't get cold. So that's really your sort of watch point for getting cold. But the rest of the baby has a very, very good hot water bottle in me. So there we go, getting the baby out. It's just as you would out of carrier without the baby insert. It's just being more mindful that, of course, as soon as you start loosening the straps, there's no head neck support, or not the same. So to slacken or to take off the carrier, you need to slacken off the arm straps, and you do that by locating the buckle and flicking it backwards. That then allows this excess strap to slide through. You do this on both sides. That then means that the arm strap is able to slide forward and you can reach the safety clip. It's really important for that safety clip to be far down your back. You want it as near to your bra strap as possible. If you have that safety clip up by the back of your neck, you will eventually get neck ache. So it's designed that once it's done up and the straps are tightened, let's say it's between your shoulder blades or as close to your bra strap as possible. And by slackening it and tightening it, that means that you can get hold of it. So take off both of the arm straps, and again we're supporting the baby because remember this is a newborn, and the carrier's off. So you can also, especially once your baby gets a bit bigger, is instead of putting the insert down, baby in the carrier, is it has got these handy tabs that you can fasten it to the carrier. And you do that, it's so simple. You just literally fasten the top ones to the top of the arm straps, and the bottom ones to the bottom of the arm straps. Once that's in place, your carrier is pretty much held in the ideal, your insert's held in the ideal position. It's then that you then obviously put the carrier on as you would, and then put the baby on. I'll do a quick demonstration. So baby on my chest, where I want the baby to be, knees just ever so slightly apart, and then I will bring the carrier up so that the baby's bottom is very securely sat on the wedge of the insert, like that, and then put on as I did before. The reason some people prefer this way, I personally prefer putting the baby into the insert then holding them, because I know then that the baby's bottom is deep within and on the insert wedge, and because sometimes if you get it slightly wrong when you're doing it like this, there can then be a bit of juggling around, but it's down to personal preference. So the last thing to say about the insert is that the recommendations from the manufacturer are that the insert is used from around newborn to approximately 4 months in its entirety, and then you have the option of taking out the bottom wedge or pillow and using that for a further, well, they recommend from 4 to 6 months. It is totally dependent on your baby. So the smaller the baby, the longer you might need to use the insert. The sooner that your baby gains head and neck control, you may be able to start sort of not using the back of the insert. And also, once you start to notice that the baby's knees naturally have sort of a wider distance between them, that's when they start being able to cope just with the bucket of the baby carrier. But as a general guide, newborn, so from £7 up to around 4 months with the entirety of the insert, just with the wedge from 4 to about 6 months. And that's it. Any questions, just send me a message. I'll be more than happy to help. Thank you. Bye.